Hello friends, welcome back to my corner of the internet. My name is Cait and today I'm going to be answering some of your questions. A couple of days ago I put on my Instagram and my YouTube a Ask Me Anything and I got some really amazing questions. So we are going to have a cup of tea or coffee or whatever is your drink of choice and we are going to answer some questions. I realize I haven't done one of these in a really long time and there are a lot of new faces here today, so I'm excited about this. Also, new filming location. This is actually my room and I thought it could be just nice and cozy for us to answer some questions here. So let's get into it. We'll start with the ones on Instagram. Oh my gosh, there actually are so many. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get through all of them, but I'll answer a fair few of them. And the remaining ones that I don't answer in this video, I will answer in my Instagram. So by all means, go and follow me on Instagram. So let's see how we start off with. The first question is, how do you combine a full-time job with dissertation and life and not burn out? Honestly, I don't have a very good answer for this. I actually really struggle with balancing my work and my dissertation and all that kind of thing. And I have recently actually made a video about this that you'll probably see soon, about where I have started going to therapy to manage my anxiety and my stress levels. So there are a couple of tips that I can share. The first one is to try as far as possible to designate some time that is dedicated to your studies. For me, those are my 5 a.m. clubs and I absolutely love them. And then I obviously have spillover onto the weekend when I need it. And I have a feeling I'm going to need a lot more as the dissertation gets a bit more heavy. But I find having those sort of set, dedicated times, even if it's just like a couple of hours a week, is so helpful to just set aside those times for your studying or for whatever you're balancing at the time. Your writing, your studying, your research, that sort of thing. The second tip that I have is to set very clear boundaries. And I mean this with setting boundaries with the people that you work with your managers, with those people that you're accountable to, as well as to your friends and family, when it is necessary to have those boundaries set, and be very open and honest about it. When I went into my new role in Google, when I was interviewing with my manager, I made it very abundantly clear that my focus in this year was going to be on my dissertation and that I was going to be taking time out throughout the year to focus on my studies and to focus on writing my dissertation. So like next week when I go to Oxford and I've taken the time out for my research, she knew that those were coming. And I've just been really open and honest about it. And it's really made such a difference. Now, I know that this might be a very unique circumstance. I know there's probably a fair few out there who maybe don't feel they have that kind of freedom with their work environment. But I think setting those boundaries as early as you can and being as accountable to them as you can be is so important. The third tip that I'm going to give is not to overthink it. Sometimes it's just about doing it and making sure you build in enough flexibility into your schedule to manage competing tasks and competing interests. I feel really weird about answering this question, as I say, because I'm actually really struggling with this at the moment, not just with my full-time job at Google, but with writing my dissertation for my master's, running a business, and then still trying to maintain a personal life and a family life. And I'm finding this really difficult. I don't think there is a way I don't think there is a foolproof way of doing it. I think it's just one of those things that you have to find those little habits that make it easier. And when you do find them, you work at them and you make them work for you. And when they don't work, then you try something different. I think there is no golden apple for this. I think it's just trying your best and accepting your best as exactly that, as the best that you can do. Okay, let's see. Tips for someone having just completely lost out during this grad admission cycle. Firstly, it's okay. Take it from someone who has gone back to school in their 30s and has realized that it's okay to go back to school at a later stage. So I think there's two things that I want to say to this question. Firstly, it's absolutely okay to have missed out on the grad cycle, because now you know what it takes to go into the grad cycle next year and to start preparing, so that come August, September, October, you are well on your way to preparing your graduate admissions documents. And I will leave a link to our keys to accepted consulting in the description box below, where we offer grad admission services. We will be offering a grad admissions course that runs the grad admission cycle this year, and that will start sort of August, September, so definitely keep a lookout for that. Alternatively, I still offer my one-to-one graduate admissions coaching, so should you be interested in that, the link will be in the description box below. But in the meantime, there is so much that you can do to prepare yourself for grad school in the following year. So I would look at doing any sort of independent research that you might be interested in doing. Now is absolutely the time to do that. I would look at short courses that you could do to bolster your application. I obviously am a huge fan of the continuing education department. The link is always in my description box below for the continuing education department at Oxford. It has been so transformative to my life, and I will recommend it to anyone who asks. And by taking on those short courses, taking on any summer courses that come down the line, bolster your CV with activities that show that you're dedicated and driven to your chosen field. And then by conducting independent research, you're also going to be adding that to your CV. I think what's also really interesting at this point in time is that you've got the time to do that and to utilize that. I thought I was saying this to Polly in Accepted Society recently, that I've had this idea for an article on T.S. Eliot that's been at the back of my brain for about 3 years, and I have not yet had a chance to write this article. The chance will come, but when you get these opportunities to build on your independent research, or you want to take on some short courses, then that is absolutely what you should do. And I will pop a link here if you are thinking about becoming an independent researcher. There is a video that I've made on this recently, but we are also running a fellows program at Accepted Society, which should help you to create a 25-page deliverable, be that an article or a written sample for your applications. Links will be in the description box below. Do check out the fellows membership, but I will also leave a link here for all of my admissions guidance tips, and that will hopefully help you prepare for the next round of admissions, the next admission cycle round. Okay. These are really great questions, everyone. Thank you so much for everyone that filled out my questions. Let's see. What are your tips for reading very long books? This is a question from Jen. Thank you, Jen. It's a marathon, not a sprint. I think this is the biggest thing that you can do. It's a marathon, not a sprint. I have really loved, especially for the longer books that I have been reading lately, I've really loved reading the book in conjunction to listening to the audiobook. because I have found it really helpful. Like if I'm doing dishes or I'm cleaning the house or something like that, I can just pop the audiobook on and I can do my chores that I need to do. But it also helps me break down chunks of reading a big chunky book. And I think there are a couple of things that help with this. I think if you've got the big physical book, it can sometimes be really, really intimidating. And so maybe something like reading a big chunky book on an e-reader, for instance, where you can like turn off your progress, would be really, really helpful. Or just dividing, if you want to read it within a particular time, dividing it into the number of pages that is plausible for you to read each day or each week, or whatever the case may be. I did try that with Tomb of Sand, which was one of my big reads from last year. Did not accomplish it. Still haven't read that book through, and I know I need to. I was really enjoying it. I'll get there. I suppose that's the last thing with reading big books. Sometimes you don't get through it. That's okay. That is not the end of the world. Also, what is going on with this random piece of hair? Anyway, we'll move on. Jen, I hope that helps. But your reading journey has just flourished. I'm so, so proud of you. Jen's part of our Accepted Society book club and just love seeing the books that she ends up reading. Okay, there are a couple here, sort of, what are your plans once you finish your master's? Are you planning on pursuing a PhD? If so, still through Oxford? How is your PhD applications coming along? This is a complex question that I don't have an answer to at this point. I have applied for PhD programs. I've applied to Oxford as a part of the continuing PhD for my current master's course. There is a PhD option to that, to my master's course that I've applied to. I've also applied to a couple of universities here in Ireland, and I haven't heard back from those applications, and I don't want to hear. If you are listening and you've also applied to a PhD and you've received your acceptance or your rejections or anything like that, please, 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 I'm begging you, please don't put it in the comments. I don't want to know. I will find out when I find out what the results of those PhD applications are. There are two things that could happen. I could get accepted for a PhD program, or I could not get accepted for a PhD program. And I kind of have plans for the year based on either. So if I don't get accepted for a PhD starting this year, then I will continue to work full-time at my job. It's a really, really great job. I have a wonderful team that I work with, and I'm very happy in it. So I will continue to do that, and then I'll continue to run Accepted Society, obviously, and continue to make content while then conducting and pursuing independent research. If I do get accepted for a PhD, again, this is really going to depend on the institution that accepts me for my PhD. I'm not sure what that will mean for my full-time job. I'm not sure what that will mean for the last couple of months of the year. Obviously, there are some ideas that I have, but I cannot make a determination about that now. So it's all a bit up in the air. And if I'm honest, it is stressing me out so much. The sort of limbo state in which I'm existing, the Schrodinger's cat of knowing and not knowing, is really, really hard. So if you are in this position and you're also waiting for a decision for a grad school program, know that I understand, know that I'm there. I am right there with you, right there with you. And yeah, sending you the solidarity, sending you the love and affection as we go into these next couple of months, where hopefully we'll all find out what the results are. It's really annoying that Instagram keeps closing my archives. I guess I could just take a screenshot of it, but why would I make it easy for myself? Okay. How do you organize your time to ensure you get all of your schoolwork done? I think I've kind of answered that, but thank you for asking the question. I think this is a very common theme of maybe how I plan my day and my life, and I will definitely maybe do a more dedicated video on this in the future. How did you discover a passion for literature and research? This is a wonderful question. Thank you for asking this. It probably didn't happen the way that I think most people found their passion for literature. So for me, for instance, I actually hated reading as a kid. I know, don't hate me, but I really struggled. I really, really struggled. My teachers wanted to kind of hold me back in school because I was just a really poor learner. I was very hyperactive, and I didn't get into it. I didn't enjoy reading. And then something clicked. Something really clicked when I was I must have been maybe 10 or 11. And I started reading the Harry Potter books. They'd just come out. They were a big sort of hit amongst my age group, obviously around that time when Harry Potter came out. And I fell in love with it. I fell in love with reading the Harry Potter books. The first 4 came out, I think, around the same sort of time. So I read all 4, and I went mad for them. Absolutely loved them. And then I started reading more extensively. I went straight from Harry Potter to reading Lord of the Rings as like a 12-year-old girl, which was ridiculous. Took me the whole year to read all 3 Lord of the Rings. But that's kind of where my passion for literature started. And obviously, as I got older, I started expanding my reading, and I really got into the classics, and I read a lot of the classics, and I loved that. And then I got into literary fiction and translation. Translation. And that's where I am now. That's where my passion for literature is really sitting, is in translated literature. I just find it so fascinating. I always say to everyone who asks me, what would your superpower be? My superpower would be that I could read, write, and speak in every single language of the world. That is just something that I would love. That would be my superpower. Reading, writing, and speaking in every single language in the world. That would be perfection. Absolute perfection. My passion for my research, I think, has stemmed out of my love for reading and my thirst for knowledge. I have always been fascinated by, well, once I got into reading, I have always been fascinated by history, and I have been fascinated by art, even though I cannot draw to save my life. And I'm not a very creative person at all. I often wish I was more creative, but I'm really not. But my thirst for knowledge, my curiosity has always been there. And I think that's what's translated into my love for my research in particular, and my topic, my research topic, the whole focus of my PhD and my master's dissertation, which I'll leave a link here to my first dissertation diaries, all centers around images of villainous woman. And this has been something that has literally been percolating in the back of my mind for years and years and years and years. And just find that so fascinating that now I have the opportunity to do this research, and I just love it. I'm so excited. I'm so happy that is the opportunities that I get. Okay, I realize that I've been talking so much. Let's see what other questions we have. Was publishing the student journal part of your decision to apply to my master's program, my MLA? Yes, absolutely. What a phenomenal opportunity that was. I will leave the link to our student journal in the description box below. As a part of our master's program, we have to produce a student journal, and it is wholly produced by our cohort. And writing this journal, publishing it, editing it, I was a part of the editorial committee and the project management committee, and getting involved in the nuances of producing a journal was so fantastic. I'm so happy I did it. And to be honest, I want to do it again. I want to create another journal. I'm desperate to do that. And maybe there's something in Accepted Society to do that. Or if anyone hears of any, journal jobs, do let me know. I will be well keen. Okay. Your best advice, actually just one more question. So this is a great one to end. Your best advice to someone doing a DIY literature degree, plus a huge thank you for your content. I love that. Oh my goodness. Also, how cool to do a DIY literature degree. I think that's so fascinating. Okay. Top tips for doing this. Study what you're interested in. There is a range of literature out there on any subject that you could want to focus on. You want to focus on Russian literature? Focus on Russian literature. You want to focus on world literature? Focus on world literature. You want to focus on nuanced feminist literature in the early modern period? Fantastic. You've got about, I think, up to 10 authors to focus on. You want to focus on a new historicist approach to literary theory? Do it. Welcome, engage, enjoy, have fun with it. I think the great thing about doing a DIY literature degree, which I just love the idea for, by the way, I'm actually thinking there might be a future video, but I just think that something like that offers you the flexibility to do and to study whatever you want to do. Just plan it out, structure it properly, and I'll take it back to the first question. Set aside time every single week to do something in it. Plan it out, block it off, put it in your calendars, and do that, because that is just phenomenal. And I think we should always be continuing learning in whatever field we are interested in. Okay, there were a ton more questions. I think this video is long enough. Thank you so much for submitting your questions. I hope this gave you a little bit of insight into my life and my channel, my content, and I will see you all soon. Thanks, everyone. Bye.